Okay, so you were in the Navy, right?
Correct.
What exactly did you do, or how'd you get involved?
Well, I went in as a aircrew rescue swimmer, but I couldn't swim fast enough. I wanted a hospital corpsman position, but they wouldn't give it to me because of my prior civil involvement. So I went for aircrew rescue swimmer. I couldn't swim fast enough, so they gave me the option of either getting out or getting another position, and I chose hospital corpsman because that's the only other thing I wanted, and they gave it to me.
What initially inspired you to join?
I wanted to change my life, and I wanted to get an education and use the GI Bill to be able to do that.
And around what time was this?
That was back in 93, 94.
Around the time of 9/11?
Yeah, I got out 4 days before 9/11.
How'd that make you feel?
Well, I felt like, wow, what happened?
Kind of like a sense
Here,
of shock?
there, yeah, what's going on, and kind of felt like I left my country at the wrong time, and because I wanted to fight for my country and everything, and kind of be involved during that whole conflict, and anger that kind of resulted from that, but I was focused on getting into medical school at that time because I wanted to get into medical school and then go back in as a doctor, and so that's what I was focused on at that time. Well, I think I liked my time on the ship more than anything, being able to go out on the flight deck and look up at the sky and see all the stars in absence of the city lights, and you're just out in the middle of nowhere basically, and got the sound of the ship behind you, and it just was a really good experience. Being on a naval vessel and being out in the middle of the ocean, and at that time we weren't really in a conflict or anything, so I wasn't like concerned about my safety or anything like that. It was almost like being on a cruise ship. So it was kind of an enjoyable experience with work on the side that we had to do, because we worked pretty much from 7, or I can't remember what time we had to report to work, until like 6 or 7 at night. Sometimes we had to work, depending on who our commanding officer or our department head was, we'd have to work all night while we're watching TV, or some of the department heads would just allow us to, at 6 o'clock, we'd get off and go on the mess decks and just play cards or something like that.
Tell me like about a regular day. Like, what would you do?
On the ship, we would start the day with sick call.
What is that?
Sick call is where everybody that has an illness or needs to be seen for something comes in, and we have a certain time frame where they can come in for sick call. That's just the time that we've allotted for people to come in and complain about anything that they've got going on. And we see them and diagnose anything that was going on with them and give them the proper treatment after taking a look at them. And that pretty much started our day. And then after that, it was mainly just doing any administrative things that we need. Sometimes people would come in and knock on our door, and they'd say, hey, can I get some Motrin or something like that, and we'd just kind of help them out as needed, but ideally we tell them at that time, try to come up for sick call. Just from reports from the news on how some of the mosques were viewed in a negative light, and even though they may not have had anything to do with the terrorist bombing, they had kind of a negative perception of Islam and everything about it. And, well, obviously there's it's easy to kind of point the finger and say that all Muslims are bad, but your sense has to come into it and realize that no, it's just a select few people that are bad, and it's Islam itself is a good religion, and but there's fanatics that cause problems for that religion itself, and those are the people that the concern is over rather than the religion itself. So it's pointless to be able to inflict harm on innocent people that have nothing to do with what's going on. And all it does is strike terror, and it's something that's not, I don't think, going to affect our policies at all. We've got to. I thought what Bush was doing was the right thing. That getting the intelligence that was needed in Guantanamo Bay, although it wasn't something that we value as in our American culture, it is something that's necessary to fight an evil that we can't determine where it's happening. And unless certain drastic steps are taken to be able to get the necessary information, then we're subject to all the terrorist acts that can come across to our culture without having any knowledge at all. So if we didn't obtain the necessary information through the interrogations, we wouldn't be protected as much as we are today. I think what is needed is an understanding of the two different cultures. So they're in their own little world, and that's the problem more than anything, is the knowledge that is passed down from generation to generation that has no influence from the Western world. And as a result of that, they're growing up with this hatred towards the West, and they're going to continue doing these acts. I don't think so. I mean, in the news they're talking about how, yes, we got bin Laden, but the war's not over. There may be retaliation, and that's what we need to be concerned about more than anything. If anything, I think that our guard has been put up more because we realize that he may have gone down as a martyr, and it may have inspired other people to do whatever they can to inflict harm. They wanted to have a forward presence in the Persian Gulf. And in order to do some of the intelligence gathering they needed to be in the thick of it. And that's why they're there more than anything. Now, when we leave, which I think is in the books for happening, we've established contacts there. We've tried to get a government started there. We're probably going to continue to provide assistance to them. Well, I won't go into detail on some of the psychological things that I went through, but I was affected by 9/11. I did feel almost like I deserted my country by leaving when I did, and I kind of went through a phase where a lot of anger, I think, from what had happened at 9/11 came through, and I think it caused some emotional or some psychological problems there for a while.